So as you know, Carolyn and I bought this washing machine. Now here's the thing, is prior to buying this, Carolyn hates this thing. She doesn't want it. But prior to buying it, she used to hand plunge the laundry, depending on the time of the year, either in a bucket in the wintertime, or we had 2 sinks out there, 2 wash sinks that she would do laundry in. And there was nobody in the comment section that liked the idea of Carolyn having to hand wash laundry. But that's what she wanted to do. So we left it as is. She had this little thing that she could pull ropes and it would spin it to dry the clothes, you know, wring it out. So when my mom got involved and said that Carolyn needed a wash machine, I thought, well, I'm just going to stop fighting it. So we bought it. Here's the thing that bothers me, is you get all these people who do not live off grid trying to learn how to live off grid, so they go watch off grid channels and then tell the guy who's been doing it forever and has went through the trials and tribulations and the mistakes and that he's doing it wrong. Carolyn and I miscommunicated. We were going to have a cloudy day that particular day, and she says I would need to get some blankets washed. It's not a big deal to run the wash machine on a cloudy day. It only uses 300 watts an hour. It's just not a lot of electric to run the wash machine. That's why we got that little bitty apartment size wash machine. It does all the laundry we need. It does the biggest blanket that we have, and that's all we needed. But the water can be an issue on cloudy days. I can run the generator and I can fill it. But since I've upgraded the solar panel system, the charge controllers and everything, I've tried so hard not to run the generator. And it's saving me about $12 a month not running the generator. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of money to a lot of people, but to me, I don't want to spend it. I'm just don't want to pay people for things that I don't need to pay them for. So we have an IBC tank in this, and anybody that's followed me through the wintertime knows that it's insulated. We have styrofoam insulation. Just so you know, styrofoam insulation, that's the thickest stuff they sell, at least I think it is. And it's like R4. I mean, there's not much insulation to it. So we heat it. There's a ventilation pipe comes through the wall. We blow air into it. And I can get down to about -4 degrees before the plumbing freezes. Now, of course, everybody tells me to use heat tape. But again, this is what's so funny, is people will tell me, I live in the North Outbacks and I live off grid. Get some heat tape. Well, how do you power it? There is a limited amount of electricity at nighttime here because we're on batteries. And I have to figure out what am I going to run. So we do run this little fan. It's not a lot of wattage at all, but heat tape can take up to 20 watts. And I just Googled it today. There's no guarantee that your pipes won't freeze with heat tape. So all these suggestions telling me how to do things, and it's not really a solution. It's just, I want to spout something out so Rob can spend more money to do it my way. Well, I did it my way, and it works. So this stays pretty warm. I'm very satisfied with the system. We found this in the camper when we bought the camper. It was laying in there, so I put it on top of there to help insulate a little bit more. I probably should take it off. It does soak up a lot of water. But the biggest issue is running the well pump on cloudy days. I've got a generator right here that can power the well. I used to run this generator to power the well. Before that, I ran this one, but that one had 8,000 hours on it. It was a champion. I mean, it was absolutely, when I say champion, that's name brand. But the reason it's got its name from a champion, because it's an absolute champion. Those things are amazing. Great generators. So I can run this off propane or gasoline. So there's the propane tank that goes with it. I always ran it off propane, even though propane doesn't provide as much power. You lose wattage with propane. But I ran it off propane because that way, if I had to let the gas sit in the carburetor for a week or two, it could degrade the carburetor, which I've had a problem with before. That's why I ended up getting that one. As before that one, when we were on the road and I couldn't order a carburetor, I left gas in it for a couple weeks, and it was just a couple weeks, and the gas rotted out the carburetor, so I had to buy that one. So what I did, I solved my own problem. So I don't even know why I have to do something different when I solved my own problem. What I did was I ran the well pump off the solar panels, off the solar panel system, in between wash cycles. Now, in that video, I tried to explain that the well recovery rate is very slow. It's an old well. I'm totally fine with it being an old well. It's going to get older, and it's going to have more problems in the future. But what happens is if I run the well pump too fast, I suck the well dry. So I got to be careful not to fill the tank too fast. So it can take up a half hour sometimes to fill the tank after laundry day. But on cloudy days, it's better to run the well pump fast and fill this up fast so I don't use as much electric. So you're kind of in a dilemma. Not every day is a perfect day. So what I did was, like I said, I ran the well pump full blast in between cycles. Filled it up for 10 gallons, which there's plenty of water in the well for 10 gallons. There's like 30 gallons. As a matter of fact, someone corrected my math. There's not 30 gallons in that. I said 30 gallons. It's actually 45 gallons. And he did this whole mathematical calculation telling me how wrong I am. 319 point blah, 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 blah. Gave me the entire calculation. So I went to Google and I said, how much water is in a 6-inch pipe, which is what this is, 6 inches, for 1 foot. And nh.gov said there's about 1.5 gallons per foot of water in a 6-inch hole, because they were actually talking about wells. So I replied to the guy. He said, just for fun, here's the answer. Well, I knew I didn't have 300 gallons in this hole. I knew it. Because when I pump it out, 13 gallons a minute, that's what this pump can pump out. I can pump it out in just a few minutes, full blast. Like 2 or 3 minutes. So, but the thing is I can fill buckets. I fill buckets, and I know exactly how much water is coming out and going into the buckets. And it's not 319 gallons. So I replied back to him, good thing this was just for fun, because nh.gov said there's 30 gallons in here, because all you got to do is take 1.5 feet times a 30-foot water column, and it came up to 45 gallons. So, the arrogance of people telling me that they know more about my systems than I do. It's hilarious. In the end, what I did to fill the tank, I may have already mentioned this, but I'm going to repeat it. What I did to fill it was I ran it in between each cycle of the wash machine. There was 4 cycles, filled up 4 times, 10 gallons. Then I would shut the well pump off. So I was only running it 2 minutes at a time. So 2 times 4, I ran it for a total of 8 minutes. I could afford that kind of electricity on a cloudy day. I was making 20 amps, like I said in the video. It was no big deal. Or I could have just ran the generator. I could have just gave up on the whole idea of the solar panels and said, Carolyn, you can do all the laundry you want. Run it all day. We got the generator. So I don't even have that problem. The reason I don't do the generator is just my own thinking. I want to do it myself. I like doing it myself. And so I explain to you how I do it myself. But if I fail and I miscommunicate with Carolyn, I got 2 generators. So it's no big deal. So comes the next genius to walk by. Well, what you really need is a gas-powered wash machine like they used to make in the olden days. You'll have to find one of those. A gas-powered wash machine. I already have one. Let me show you. It's incredible, and it's actually modern technology. I just showed you the wash machine a few minutes ago, and a gas-powered generator. Why would I want to go buy? And the thing is I said that in the video. I said it was a generator. Generators make electricity, which would power the wash machine. Isn't that incredible how that works? It powers everything. It would power everything that we have. Now, I have to be careful that I don't try to run the well and the freezer at the same time on this generator, but that's no big deal because I got 2. I can run the freezer on the little one, I can run the well on the big one. I've got it covered. Why do I need to go buy a gas-powered wash machine? But hey, let's even take this one step further. I would imagine that you're not supposed to run a gas-powered wash machine inside the house, because all those creepy little things like carbon monoxide that can kill you within minutes. Probably shouldn't do that. So I guess you got to run it outside. Okay, so -4 degrees, and we got a wash machine. Wash machine uses water. You know what happens at -4 to water? It becomes a block of solid. So how do you do laundry in a block of solid? I don't know. But this genius had it all figured out, didn't he? And then he says, you just as well give up on the well. That's a dumb idea. Do rain collection. Okay, well, I do rain collection kind of on a minor aspect. But people don't seem to understand rain collection. First, you have to have a roof to collect rain. And I don't have a huge barn. I don't want a huge barn. I've got the camper that I could gutter. I got the house that I could gutter. I got this I've guttered, and a shed. It wouldn't collect a lot of rain. But let's just say I'm supposed to go out and spend, a few $1,000s on a barn so I can collect rainwater. And then all these IBC tanks are going to be laying around because I got to fill them all up. And then either I'm going to have to put all these IBC tanks inside the barn to heat it with a wood stove using more firewood, or I'm going to let them sit outside in -4 degrees and they'll become a block of ice. So when I need water, I'm going to move this big block of ice. Remember, I don't know how many people know this, but water does this strange thing at below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. It becomes a block of ice. So then you stick it over here into the spot where the IBC tank goes, and I still don't have water. So good thinking. I'll collect rainwater, and then I'll have to figure out how to keep it warm. None of it makes sense to me. Then you got to move it around. I'd have to have a fork truck. It just doesn't make sense. The system I have, I better give up on that well, because that's too much work, having to come out in between cycles and run it for 2 minutes. Whew. Turning on a light switch, that's too much work. Let's do it this way. I don't know, why not just do it my way? I like my way. My way works really well. And then, you're told, I'm an Alaska Outback off-gridder. I know more than you'll ever know in a lifetime. 10 lifetimes, I've got it all covered. What you need to do is you need to build a box, insulate it, to heat tape your pipes. I tell you, before yesterday, I've never talked to anybody from Alaska, but how in the world did I come up with this idea of building a box with insulation to put my IBC tank in? I'm not from Alaska. Then you're supposed to put heat tape on it. So I Googled heat tape just to make sure I knew what it was, because I thought I knew what it was. And sure enough, it's this stuff that produces heat. And you wrap it around your pipes, you put insulation around it. Okay, where do I get the electric? I just don't understand. I've got more experience than you've got in 10 lifetimes. No, you don't. Because if you had more experience, you would know that electric is always a premium at nighttime. Don't waste it. I know it seems like I'm frustrated, but I do get frustrated at times, especially when there's a bunch of people telling me how to do something when you don't have a clue what you're talking about. I do not understand this mentality. You're doing it wrong. Get yourself a gasoline wash machine. They used to make them about 100 years ago before there was electric. No. If you'll click this up next box, it'll take you over my other channel, and we'll be working on, I don't know, something cool. I can inspire you to find the right way to do it so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.